All right, let's dig in a little deeper into what this new role for King Charles means for the UK and for Canada. Aaron Bains is the president of St. George's Society and joins us now. Thank you very much for joining us. Why don't you give us a little summary of what the St. George's Society is?
For sure. The St. George's Society of Toronto is the oldest charity in Toronto, predating the very nation of Canada, and it's been dedicated by its members and the Committee of Management to helping those in need. And there's a strong tie with both the royal family and also just England and the Commonwealth, because initially it was set up to help English immigrants. Of course, times have changed significantly, and today the Society prides itself on supporting local needs and urgent care needs, especially during the pandemic, throughout the city of Toronto.
All right, thank you. Let's talk about King Charles. What do you see as his evolving role now and how he is perceived by the UK public? And, well, the Commonwealth.
Of course, and in Canada in particular, for us, I think that people are now going to be focusing, hopefully, on the future. And whereas there are certain remnants of his past that have been in the focus before, we now see the last few years dedicated principally to his work in conserving the environment, working towards helping the subjects of the Commonwealth, and hopefully he will try and fill the very massive shoes of the Queen by dedicating his life to the service of those people.
Do you sense a difficult role ahead for King Charles? His mother was quite beloved. He hasn't achieved that same sort of love from the public. He's a little more stilted, perhaps. He comes from a different era.
I think that it'll be very challenging. It was very challenging for the Queen. She did not expect to be in this role and then spent 70 years of her life dedicated to serving it. And I think to kind of reflect on his present time to a 70-year legacy is difficult, but I think that he will rise to the occasion and the challenge and will do as his mother did, dedicate all of his life to the subjects of the Commonwealth, the nation, and also to the things he cares about, the causes of environmental stewardship.
Do you see any change for Canada with this new king?
It's hard to say. I think that the Canada today is very different than the Canada when Queen Elizabeth was proclaimed the monarch of Canada. And I think that the nation is constantly evolving in the way in which it sees its relationship with the monarchy. But I think Canadians feel a strong sense of history and kindness and compassion towards the royal family, having seen the efforts, especially in the environmental area, of focus of Prince Philip in Canada and having a real bond with the royal family and with the United Kingdom.
I think in future days we will have conversations, there will be many conversations about the future of the monarchy, its relevance to Canada and around the world. What are your personal memories that stand out the most for you? I know you haven't met him, but what do you remember the most about Charles as he's grown up, as he's matured into the man he is today?
Well, I think that not just him and it's his family and everything that the royal family represents, but as a Canadian, I remember the first time I looked at a $1 bill or a $2 bill or a $5 bill now, but I also remember the legacy of the royal family, the loss of Princess Diana, and how much it affected Canadians like my mother, people who really looked to the royal family to see not just the legacies of the past, but how they presented themselves in the present and in the future as really stewards and models of being caring and compassionate citizens.
And Diana's death was just 25 years ago. That anniversary was just marked, and it really did have a big impact on people back then.
Indeed. I think that Canadians really looked at that time, and may still today, at the royal family for the role models. She was, and the Queen was, probably the most famous woman in the world.
Yes.
Somebody that stood out as not only a role model of leadership, but also of how to navigate a very difficult position where you cannot have an opinion, are being asked to have an opinion, and yet must at some way demonstrate a bond with another human at the same time. And she did it with excellent elegance.
And one could argue that Diana did that far better than her husband at the time. Do you think he has evolved since then?
I think that King Charles has demonstrated that he will lead the royal family, that he will be the king for all of the Commonwealth, and that he is going to be dedicated to serving the people of the Commonwealth and his family. And I think he's demonstrated that to us in the last few years, and I think that he will continue to do so in the future.
Thank you very much for joining us. We'll continue our conversation shortly, but I do appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.